PM to deliver inaugural address at the Conclave on Transformational Reforms in Higher Education under the National Education Policy today. The Conclave, organized by the Ministry of Education to discuss significant aspects of education covered under the National Education Policy 2020. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulates Sri Lankan Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa on the successful conduct of parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka. The two leaders also reiterate their shared commitment to strengthen the age-old and multi-dimensional India-Sri Lanka relationship. Rajapaksa poised to secure special majority. Kisan Rail for carrying perishable farm produce to begin from today. Train to run between Maharashtra's Devlali and Bihar's Danapur railway station. Kisan Rail to be a step towards realizing the goal of doubling farmers' income by 2022. National Handloom Day to be observed today to mark the 1905 Swadeshi movement. Day is observed to revive the roots of handloom industry and to provide work to weavers. Former Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Girish Chandra Murmu, appointed as CAG of India. Murmu to take charge from Rajiv Maharishi. Flood situation worsens further in Bihar with rivers Bagmati, Gandak and Buri Gandak still flowing above the danger mark. Affected population rises to 69 lakh in 16 districts of the state. Flood situation in Assam meanwhile improves, while the West Coast battles heavy rain. CBI files FIR against Rhea Chakrabarti and 5 others in the Sushant Singh Rajput death case. Seeks case file and details from Bihar police. Rhea Chakrabarti to depose before the ED today. This will be the first time she will record a statement to a central agency. India tests a new high of 6,65,000 cases in the last 24 hours. More than 6 lakh tests done for the third successive day. Recovery rate improves further to 67.62% with over 13,28,000 recoveries. Case fatality rate declines to 2.07%. Global COVID-19 cases reach 1 crore 92 lakh. Good morning. Welcome to English News. I am Anil Thomas. Now for the stories in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be delivering the inaugural address at the Conclave on Transformational Reforms in Higher Education under the National Education Policy today through video conference. The Conclave is being organized by the Ministry of Education and University Grants Commission. Significant aspects of education covered under the National Education Policy 2020 will be deliberated upon. Sessions will be conducted on subjects like holistic, multidisciplinary and futuristic education, quality research and equitable use of technology for better reach in education. A number of dignitaries, include the Union Minister for Education, would be participating in the event. There will be a keynote address by Dr. K. Kasturi-Rangam, who is the chairman of the committee for drafting the National Education Policy. Film director and producer Subhash Ghai applauded the new education policy and said that the policy will play a crucial role for the development of the nation. He added that vocational training institutes will enhance the personality development of students and will help them to deal with exam pressure.
NEP नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के अंतर्गत हमारे भारत सरकार ने जो भी परिवर्तन लाए हैं, मैं समझता हूं कि वो भारत के भविष्य के लिए बहुत ही आवश्यक थे। भले ही 34 साल बाद आए, लेकिन आए। ये अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा ऐतिहासिक कदम है हमारे भारत के भविष्य निर्माण के लिए, आने वाले बच्चों के लिए, और खासकर जो उन्होंने आर्ट और साइंस को साथ साथ जोड़ा है और वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग और वोकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट्स को महत्ता दी है, उनको एक स्थान दिया है, एक दूरदर्शिता का प्रमाण है। क्योंकि हमारे बच्चों में कलात्मक दृष्टि से किसी भी कोर्स में जब उनको बड़ा किया जाएगा तो एक व्यक्ति निर्माण होगा और वो बहुत आवश्यक है आज के लिए।
Thanking the film director for speaking on the National Education Policy 2020, Union Education Minister said, and I quote, that the new education policy will be a game changer which will equip children with 21st century skills and will take the Indian education system to global standards. Well, for more on this story, our correspondent Arun Sharma joining us this morning. Arun, good morning. Arun, the national education policy stress clearly is on reforms. But having said that, will it face the acid test? It's going to face that acid test in the campus. How do you see the process of this particular national policy being welcomed by one and all?
Good morning, Anil. And let me tell you that this is for the first time that a mega conclave has been organized by the government, whereby Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be addressing after the announcement of NEP. Important part is that the NEP primarily focuses on transforming the intent and the content of the education system that we were having till now. As of now, till now, the focus was much more on the bookish knowledge, but now the NEP focuses on practical knowledge, internship, hands-on experience in the industry. So that is the focus of the NEP. Well, there are four important pillars as far as this NEP is concerned. Number one, this NEP focuses on access to all as far as education is concerned. That means when government is targeting for the gross enrollment ratio of 50 up to 50% by 2035, that means the government is focusing that to more and more students get education. Number two is on, of course, flexibility. Till now, I mean, Anil, we know this fact that when you and I were studying, if we used to take science subjects, we were not allowed to take commerce or art subject. But now with maths, you can take music as well. With chemistry, you can adopt for any humanities subject as well. So there is a flexibility. Important part is also that now government has done away with the 10+2 system. Now the focus will be on, 5+3+3+4. So that's part. That means foundational level, preparatory level, middle level, and high school level. So various other categories of students will be treated in a different manner. The mode of education will be different. Third important part is language. Till now, English means everything. If you know English, it used to be considered you have knowledge. But now the focus is more on the regional languages. The curriculum will be in the regional languages, be it Tamil, be it Gujarati, be it Marathi. So focus is more on the regional languages. Last but not the least, the important pillar is that we know this fact, Anil, that we are focusing on local languages, but we are at the same time also integrating with the global best practices. Now that day is not far away when the global universities will come to in India and open their own campuses, and it provides ease to these global campuses as well. So best international practices will also. So that's an important part that government is focusing on NEP, which provides more modern education that includes artificial intelligence, that includes robotics, and also at the same time it gives hands-on experience primarily to the students of our country. Anil?
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. We'll come to you across the day for more updates on that particular story once the Prime Minister speaks in that inaugural address on the conclave of transformational reforms in higher education. That's under the national education policy that saw a change after 34 years in India. Moving on to our neighbors, Sri Lanka, where Sri Lanka's strongman Mahinda Rajapakse staged a political comeback as his party is poised to secure a special majority. His party registered a landslide victory in the twice postponed general elections. According to the final result by the Elections Commission, Rajapakse's Sri Lanka People's Party alone has won 145 seats and with its allies have 150 seats, a two-third majority in a 225-member parliament. And this particular victory has been unprecedented. Remember, Sri Lanka, there was because of the COVID crisis and all these process, the elections did take place in this particular phase of time, and it's receiving praise. And Mahinda Rajapakse-led government there having a landslide victory. Earlier on Thursday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mahinda Rajapakse, and congratulated him on the successful conduct of parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka despite the constraints of the COVID-19 pandemic. He also appreciated the Sri Lankan people for their enthusiastic participation in the elections. Prime Minister Modi said that this reflected the strong democratic values shared by both countries. The two leaders reiterated their shared commitment to strengthen the age-old and multi-dimensional India-Sri Lanka relationship. Sri Lankan Prime Minister informed about the establishment of an international airport in the Buddhist pilgrims city of Kushinagar in India and said that the city looked forward to welcoming visitors from Sri Lanka at an early date. The leaders agreed to remain in close touch as both countries address the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic and resolved to take bilateral relations to newer heights in the coming days. For more on that story, a correspondent there from Sri Lanka joining us this morning. Good morning, Santosh. Looking at the way things panned out there in the elections, you got to give it to the people in this pandemic times, people coming out to vote in large numbers. And, Rajapaksa, they're coming back to power after, the president had almost dissolved it in last March, if I stand corrected, last March. There was no government there. So having said that, what or how did the people, how were the people convinced, or how did the leaders convince the people to come out and vote in such large numbers?
Yes, Anil, the holding of parliament elections amid this COVID pandemic is
True.
a big success story for Sri Lanka. And as we know that COVID is very much under control in Sri Lanka, and there are few thousand cases only, and now there are only few hundred active cases in the country. So amidst this, the general elections were postponed twice because of this COVID situation, but finally they were held on Wednesday, and we saw over 70% turnout in this situation. So that was a very laudable thing. At the same time, now we are seeing the return of Rajapaksa's in power in Sri Lankan power after 5 years. It started with the victory of Gotabaya Rajapaksa at last presidential elections. And after the victory, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa was made the caretaker prime minister along with cabinet. And from there on, only president and his team was waiting for a parliament majority, and for that only the parliament was dissolved 6 months before its term in March itself.
Okay.
And now with this big victory, the return of Rajapaksa is complete, and now they are in the saddle of power, and at this and now let us see how things pan out in the coming months. The Rajapaksas have promised to bring fundamental changes in the constitution, and we will have to wait and watch what sort of provisions are brought in the new constitution.
Considering the election results that have come, was it much more than what was anticipated there by the Rajapaksa camp when it comes to looking at the results, getting a 2/3 supermajority?
Yes, it is very much, more than expected by even the Rajapaksas, because just 2-3 days before the election on Wednesday, there was a press conference by brother of Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is also the figurehead in the party, and
yes.
he predicted that his party will achieve 130 to 135 seats on his own. But at the same time, he also appealed upon the people and the voters to give them 2/3 majority so that they can bring changes. But from the insider sources also, we knew that they were expecting 130 to 135. But this, majority, nobody was expecting, even political analysts. It is very difficult in Sri Lankan political system because it adopts a preferential system of voting with proportional representation. A 2/3 majority is very difficult. Even in 2010, after the war ended, this Mahinda Rajapaksa and his party were able to get only up to 140 seats. So that way, this victory is really a big achievement for Rajapaksas, and credit goes to them for this victory. And particularly, people were happy with the handling of this COVID situation in the country, and for that also they gave credit to the Rajapaksas. At the same time, I must say that the opposition was also divided between two camps, led by Sajit Premadasa and former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Ranil Wickremesinghe's party has lost very badly at this election, and he also, has failed to enter the parliament after almost a career of over 4 decades of being an MP, and also serving as Prime Minister for 3 times in the past.
Okay.
So that for them it's a complete rout, and he also heads the oldest party in the country. And now we are seeing a new opposition under the leadership of Sajit Premadasa. So let us see. It will be a complete shake-up for the country's politics, because both the parties led by Mr. Rajapaksa and led by Mr. Premadasa, are offshoots of two oldest parties in the country.
Okay, so the Rajapaksa family, they're dominating the Sri Lankan politics for the past 2 decades, and their particular prowess continues there as the Sri Lankan people, 75% is the turnout there. So the real heroes of this particular elections could be the people who, irrespective of the pandemic, came out in large numbers to cast their vote. Well, moving on now, back in India, there's good news for the farmers in the country. Indian Railways will begin Kisan Rail service to transport perishable items from today. The train will start at 11 a.m. and it will transport materials between Maharashtra's Devdali and Bihar's Danapur railway station. The train will be flagged off via video conferencing by the Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar and Railways Minister Piyush Goyal. The train is scheduled to reach its destination Danapur on the 8th of August at 6:45 p.m., covering a distance of 1,519 kilometers in around 32 hours. More in this report.
Big relief for farmers. Indian Railways first Kisan Rail. Now vegetables, fruits and other perishable items will reach the consumers easily on time. Indian Railways is all set to run its first timetable Kisan Rail special parcel service from Friday. The train will provide seamless supply of chain or perishable produce. The Kisan Rail, which comprises 10 parcel vans and 1 luggage cum brake van, will run on a weekly basis. This train is a step towards realizing the goal of doubling farmers' incomes by 2022. The train will be flagged off via video conferencing by Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar and Railway Minister Piyush Goyal. It will cover regions that produce huge quantities of vegetables, fruits, flowers and other perishable items. The scheduled halts will be at Nasik Road, Manmad, Jalgaon, Bhusawal, Burhanpur, Khandwa, Itarasi, Jabalpur, Satna, Manikpur, Prayagraj Chowki, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Nagar and Buxar. Aggressive marketing is being done with local farmers, loaders and individuals, and it is expected that the train will be a great help to the farmers. With Bureau Inputs, Rajesh Raj's report, DD News.
Well, the National Handloom Day is being observed today to mark the 1905 Swadeshi movement. The day is aimed to revive the roots of handloom industry and to provide work to weavers. The objective of the day is to generate awareness about the importance of the handloom industry to the socio-economic development of the country. In July 2015, it was decided by the Government of India to celebrate August 7th every year as National Handloom Day. Prime Minister Modi in 2015 inaugurated the first National Handloom Day as the centenary of the Madras University in Chennai. The main essence behind the National Handloom Day is just to boost the confidence and income of artisans, but also to provide greater recognition to handloom products. The flood situation, meanwhile, in Bihar remains critical as 16 districts have been severely affected. More than 69 lakh people of the population spread over 1,188 panchayats in 124 blocks of these districts are facing the wrath of floods. About 4,81,000 people have been evacuated to safer places. 33 teams of SDRF and NDRF are carrying out relief and rescue operations in the affected areas. Around 10.5 lakh people are being provided cooked food from 1,402 community kitchens. The river Bagmati, Gandak, Buri Gandak are still flowing much above the danger mark. The Met Department has predicted light to moderate rains in almost all the districts of Bihar today. From Bihar to Assam, where the flood situation has improved drastically, number of districts affected by the flood water have reduced from 33 to 10 districts. However, river Brahmaputra is flowing above the danger mark in Jorhat and Dhubri, while the other rivers and tributaries in the states are now showing a falling trend in the water level. Moving to the western part in Maharashtra, where after 3 days of heavy downpour, rainfall has seen a gradual decrease in Mumbai and the other coastal areas of the state. However, gusty winds have been blowing in the state with the wind speed reaching up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. The IMD has predicted light to moderate rainfall over the weekend. Heading down south to Karnataka, where several parts of Karnataka are facing a flood-like situation due to continuous rainfall. Severe waterlogging is also being witnessed at many places, disrupting normal life. Kaveri River at Kudige in Kodagu district has crossed the danger level and is rising. The Met Department has predicted heavy to very heavy falls in coastal Karnataka for the next 3 to 4 days. Chief Minister B.S. Yedurappa has ordered immediate release of 50 crore rupees for emergency relief. In Kerala, 5 people were killed as intermittent heavy rains and strong winds battered various parts of the state. Heavy rains inundated several low-lying areas of Kozhikode, Wayanad and Malappuram districts. In Thrissur, trees were uprooted in various places due to strong winds, while minor landslides were reported in Idukki district. Major tributaries of Periyar River are overflowing in Idukki district. Meanwhile, extremely heavy rainfall is expected in Wayanad and Idukki district for the next 2 to 3 days. Met Department has issued a red alert for Malappuram district. NDRF has evacuated over 2,000 people and shifted them to relief camps. Damp water levels are kept low this time to accommodate more inflow to avert a situation. Girish Chandra Murmu has been appointed as the new CAG of India a day after he resigned as the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. On Thursday, President Ramnath Kovind accepted Murmu's resignation as the first Lieutenant Governor of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Former Union Minister and senior BJP leader from Uttar Pradesh, Manoj Sinha, has been appointed in his place. Mega Hackathon will take place today, where the top finalists selected under the Atmanirbhar Bharat App Innovation Challenge will show their apps live. Atmanirbhar Bharat App Innovation Challenge was launched by Prime Minister Modi on July 4th, which saw participation from 6,940 tech entrepreneurs and startups across the country. The Atmanirbhar Bharat App Innovation Challenge has been a huge opportunity for tech developers to participate not only from metropolitan cities but also from Tier 2 and 3 towns. This challenge is planned to showcase India as one of the leading app developing countries globally. Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar on Thursday issued a point-by-point rebuttal to Congress leader Jairam Ramesh on the draft EIA notification. Javadekar termed publicizing letters by Ramesh as premature as public consultation is still underway. The Union Minister said that Ramesh was making a wrong connotation of the provision of ex post facto approval to bring violators under regulatory regime by imposing heavy penalties. He said, and I quote, "The main purpose of this provision is to bring all violators under regulatory regime by imposing heavy penalty. You will also agree that we should not allow such companies in perpetual unregulated status." Union Environment Minister said that the draft is not for reducing the process of public hearing, but making it more meaningful. Government has issued a draft notification, not the final notification, and it is still open for public consultation and is ready to discuss in details when the situation warrants. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and his American counterpart Mike Pompeo spoke over phone on Thursday. Tweeting about his conversation, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said, and I quote, "A wide-ranging conversation yesterday night with United States Secretary of State Mike Pompeo reviewed our bilateral cooperation, including working of relevant mechanisms, shared assessments on regional and global issues, including South Asia, Afghanistan, Indo-Pacific and beyond. Both leaders exchanged views on responding to the COVID-19 challenge. They discussed meeting in the Quad format in the near future." The CBI has filed an FIR against actress Rhea Chakrabarti and others, including her family members and her associates Samuel Miranda and Shruti Modi, in actor Sushant Singh Rajput's death case. They have already been questioned by ED, while Rhea Chakrabarti has to appear before the ED today. The CBI has registered the FIR under sections 306, 341, 342, 420, 406 and 506 of the Indian Penal Code. Meanwhile, Rhea Chakrabarti's lawyer has said that the CBI should desist from taking any further step in the case, keeping in view the pending proceedings of the Supreme Court. The CBI lodged this FIR after Bihar government transferred the case of actor Sushant Singh Rajput, who was found dead on July 14th in his apartment in Mumbai's Bandra area, to CBI. COVID-19's response and management driven by the centre's test, track, treat strategy is yielding the desired results. The total recoveries of COVID-19 patients has jumped to 13,28,336 with 46,121 COVID-19 patients being discharged in the last 24 hours. With such consistent increase in recoveries, the gap between recovered patients and active COVID cases has reached 7,32,835. The recovery rate has continued its upward journey to reach another record high of 67.62% amongst COVID-19 patients. The actual caseload of the country, that is the active cases in this country, stand at 5,95,501, which is 30.31% of the total positive cases. The case fatality rate continues to slide and has improved to 2.07%. India's resolve to rapidly increase the number of tests done per day has resulted in a successful march towards a 10 lakh per day testing capacity, with 6,64,949 tests being conducted in the last 24 hours. The cumulative testing as on date has reached 2,21,49,351. The tests per million too have seen a sharp rise to 16,050. The network of diagnostic labs across the country is continuously expanding, and the lab network as of today stands at 1,370, with 921 labs from the government sector and 449 labs from the private. Keeping in view the rising cases of COVID-19, the Madhya Pradesh government has imposed lockdown on Sunday in Bhopal. Restaurants and hotels will now function till 10 p.m. in the state. Shops in containment zone in the city will remain closed. The State Home Minister Narottam Mishra said that the curfew will remain in place between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. in the whole state. Meanwhile, the state's recovery rate further improved and now stands at 73.6%.
जो नए केस हमें मिले हैं वो 830 है और जो ठीक होकर घर गए हैं वो 838 है। मतलब हमारी ठीक होने की दर आज भी अच्छी है। रिकवरी रेट हमारी अब 70 से बढ़कर 73.6 हो गई। अभी तक 26,902 लोग स्वस्थ पूर्णतः होके अपने घरों पर गए। यहां मैं ये भी दोहराना चाहूंगा कि गरीबों के लिए, मध्यम वर्ग के लिए निःशुल्क चिकित्सा सुविधा हर तरह की उपलब्ध है। लेकिन अगर संपन्न लोग, पैसे वाले लोग होम क्वारंटाइन होना चाहते हैं या पेड क्वारंटाइन होना चाहते हैं तो वो इस दिशा में भी विचार गंभीरता से हम कर रहे हैं।
That's all we have time for in this edition of News. But remember to keep yourself safe, follow the social distancing rules, also use the face mask at all times when you venture out, and also use the hand sanitizer as well as the soap to keep your hands clean. Thanks for watching.